What is up, everybody? Enderheart here, back with Cipher Secret, chapter 22. And today we're going to be reading this glorious fanfiction, which I have noticed at the top it says on hiatus for now, but don't worry, we have plenty of chapters to read. We're only on chapter 22 when there are 43. So we're golden. I gotta get these videos out better, but let's try before school starts. Liar. Dipper took a step back when the creature stepped forward. His heels were now touching the woman's body. From his toes to knees, he was covered in blood, the sickening smell making him want to throw up. The creature produced a sound that should have been a snicker, or at least it sounded like it. Dipper felt his chest tighten, and the lack of air was affecting his lungs. He wanted to breathe, but something was preventing him from doing so. After what sounded like an eternity, the creature finally started talking again, much to Dipper's horror. Maybe. The creature took another step forward. Dipper took another step back, tripping on the body behind him and falling on the floor hard, blood splashing all around him. A sound of disgust and fear died in Dipper's throat. Do not underestimate me, little brother. Dipper's eyes widened upon hearing the last two words. With rage building, he stood up, ignoring his body's protests, and narrowed his golden eyes at the creature. I am not your little brother. I do not know who you are, but stop calling me that. I didn't kill anyone. Liar, you're lying. Stop lying to me. At this point, he didn't know what he was trying to convince. Dipper was scared, and his heart was racing. The pressure on his chest wasn't even helping. Also, the creature's voice tone scared him. He had heard this voice tone before, in his dreams, when he was younger. The thing took another step forward, completely out of the shadows within the trees. However, the only thing he turned out to be was a shadow. The creature extended his hand, and Dipper's birthmark started glowing. Are you sure? Dipper blinked and took 2 steps back, paling completely. He opened his mouth to say something, but the statement died in his throat, as well as his courage. Dipper's hand went to touch his forehead, which felt cool. For how long had he been feeling this sensation? This feeling was connected to somebody? This feeling that was there was somebody else inside of his mind? This feeling that he was being controlled like a puppet? These feelings were consuming him from the inside out every day. Little brother? No. I am not your brother. I am not your brother. I am not your brother, Dipper repeated before spinning on his heels and running away as fast as he could. Not even paying attention to what was forward, Dipper, trying to control his mind, he was spurting at full speed when strange things started to happen. His heart was racing, his lungs were burning, his eyesight getting blurry when everything started to change. Hey, wait up. I don't know who I can trust anymore. Dipper's eyes widened as he started to feel dizzy. What the? Unsightly. Dipper stopped and leaned against a tree, but fell to the floor right after. His breaths were short as he was wheezing. His lungs felt like they were on fire. Yeah, you should keep up. You ruined my life. Bang, repulsive. Dipper gasped for air. I can keep up. You ruined your own life. Bang, disgusting. Everything was spinning around him. His vision was fading to black. When gravity falls and earth becomes sky, I fight for whip. Run away and never return. Dipper was losing consciousness. Fear the beast with just one eye. Freedom! Slash! It's been so long, little brother. Everything went black. It was raining. Everything was blurry. He could hear thunders from far away. Dipper opened his eyes, analyzing everything around him before jumping to conclusions. The rain was hitting his dark blue hair as Dipper could feel the mud under him. He was in an open field. It looked to be the same field he had been on when he was attacked by the horde of corvos. Dipper winced upon remembering the corvos, the creatures that had almost taken his life away, somehow, and his chest tightened more, this time upon remembering about Arande. But, not far away, Dipper noticed a silhouette of a person. This person started to walk towards him. Dipper couldn't help but step back until he bumped on something. Looking back, Dipper prevented a shriek of surprise from escaping his lips upon noticing he had bumped on a corpse. It was the girl from his dream, the one that had called him Pine Tree. But who was she? Remembering the strange silhouette, Dipper turned to face the person now in front of him. His eyes widened. Mabel? The girl narrowed her eyes. Dipper could now see better and analyze his twin closely. Mabel was wearing her usual shooting star sweater, but it was scratched and covered in dried blood. Her chocolate brown hair was also covered with blood and messy. In her left hand, there was a bloody kitchen knife. Dipper's eyes widened upon noticing the knife in his sister's hand and her stoic face, but his chest tightened even more when he saw a sly smile across her face, full of scars and small cuts. Why? Why, Pine Tree? What brings you here? Her voice was dry and harsh. Dipper had never heard Mabel talk like this. She talks in a harsh manner sometimes, but never in this voice tone. It was so cold, so careless, so unlike Mabel. Dipper didn't say anything. He wanted to study Mabel more. He wanted a sign that this was a dream. It had to be a dream. What's wrong? Cipher got your tongue? Dipper gaped at her. She had found out. Would this explain why she was covered in dry blood? Mabel, what happened? Oh, so now you don't know? Look how innocent you are. Let me resume everything to you. You lied to me, you made a deal with Bill, and now you have abandoned me. Mabel yelled as she threw the kitchen knife to the floor. Look around you. Dipper looked around. He wasn't in an open field. He was at a graveyard. And, even with all the headstones, there were bodies all around. Do you know who did this? She nailed her eyes, kicking the knife, which almost hit Dipper. It landed on a tombstone that said Stanford Pines. You did! Dipper's eyes widened. No, that's not true, he shouted. Please, tell me this is a dream. Please. Dipper murmured, trying not to faint again, which was almost inevitable. Mabel did not answer him. How do you know? How did you find out about my deal with Bill? Mabel did not answer this question either. I don't understand. I would never let this happen. I would never abandon you, Mabel. We? She snickered before kicking Dipper in the chest, making him fall to the floor painfully. This could even be a dream, but it felt real to him. Do you really think there is still a we? Don't you understand? Do you? She sneered and scowled, with her foot still pressed against his chest, covering his orange t-shirt in mud. Dipper didn't even care. He just wanted to know what was going on. We are what? Twins? Best friends? Life partners? I don't know anymore. Come to think about it, did I ever know the answer before all this happened? Dipper frowned. Mabel, why are you acting like this? You never were like this. Right, she nodded. But now I am a new person, and with a new vision of this cruel world and betrayal. She sighed, withdrew her foot from Dipper's chest, and started to walk away. Dipper stood up to stop her, but she turned to him with a murderous look. It's over, Dipper. You are no longer my brother. Dipper was back in the open field with all the bodies surrounding him. The creature stared at him intently. He had run away, but now he was back. That wasn't possible. Was it? The more he would see, the more confused Dipper would become, and nobody wanted to give him answers. Dipper finally had his final question for the creature. Who are you? I am you. Dipper's eyes widened as he struggled and gasped for air, but all that filled his lungs with water. As he noticed this, the preteen immediately emerged from the water, breathing hard and supporting his weight with his hands. Dipper blinked a few times, trying to make his eyes stop burning, and looked around. His sight was blurry, but slowly adjusting itself. He was inside the bathroom, with the door locked, with his clothes on, and inside the filled bathtub. But the creepy thing was that, when Dipper looked down, he noticed a bloody knife at the side of the bathtub. After noticing the blood mixed with the water he was in, Dipper started to search for anything that looked like a cut. Upon looking at his right arm, Dipper noticed it had been cut and recognized the small cut letters as AKFA Akuma Tenshi. This sent shivers down Dipper's spine. Without anything else, Dipper stood up, stepping out of the bathtub, emptying it, as he didn't want anyone to see the blood, and grabbed a towel from the hook near the sink. Dipper tried to dry himself as quickly as he could before unlocking and opening the door, checking if there was no one in sight, and silently running up the stairs, opening the attic door and closing it. After doing this, Dipper sighed and slid to the floor, completely exhausted. He had done nothing for a while, but the headache, the pain in his lungs, and his heavy breathing and his eyes burning, all combined together, were enough to make Dipper feel like he had ran around the world in seconds. And there he was, sitting against the attic's door with his legs pressed against his chest, trying not to faint. After staying in this position for a few seconds, Dipper decided to stand up and go to his bed. If he was really going to faint, he would do it in his bed. But after lying down, Dipper remembered about his nightmare and immediately shot upright, shock hitting him hard. He hadn't been having enough oxygen to realize everything that was happening now, but now he could see it. He had a nightmare with the mysterious creature, and there were multiple cuts in his arm that formed a name. He had awoken inside a bathtub, drowning. What the hell happened? I am you. You did. Dipper groaned, closing his eyes and grabbing and pressing the pillow to his face. Upon doing that, he noticed that Book 3 was still there, as well as his vest. Dipper yawned and tried to fight against the exhaustion, and didn't want to go to that place again to see that creature, to see that Mabel. Dipper's eyes widened as he remembered Mabel's attitude towards him in his dream. That made the 12-year-old want to stay awake as much as possible, wondering where his sister was, but it was impossible to fight back. Dipper fell asleep. Meanwhile, a certain girl with bright purple eyes and white hair was watching everything with her eyes wide. In front of her, there was a screen showing the images of Dipper, who was asleep. Her mouth was hung open as she snapped her fingers, making the screen disappear in purple dust. She sighed, sitting on the floor, as one white deer with purple eyes sat down next to her. In the deer's neck, there was a big Dipper marking. The girl caressed the deer's back as she sighed, with watery eyes. I wanted to prevent this, Yuki. She lowered her head and withdrew her hand, wiping away one tear. He has awakened.